Hi. Tonight we're going to talk about being human and having a spiritual experience, or being spiritual and having a human experience. Spirituality is also a human experience because it reveals vision, wisdom, love, intention, importance, and mindfulness in life. Spirituality is not about dogmatic principles because it has to do with awareness and improvement in life, which is evolution, as it is about relationships, connections with nature, humans, and our world. It doesn't matter if we have a teacher, no teacher, a guru, or many teachers and gurus, because it is our soul that guides us. Our thoughts create vibrations in the field of consciousness, and those vibrations guide us as their effects are powerful and persuasive. We just need to be mindful of our thoughts and their effects because they are the countless teachers of wisdom. Everything, internal and external, thoughts, people, and ideas, all come from one consciousness that never dies. Osho says, "You exist in time, but you belong to eternity. You are a penetration of eternity into the world of time. You are deathless, living in a body of death. Your consciousness knows no death, no birth. It is only your body that is born and dies. But you are not aware of your consciousness. You are not conscious of your consciousness. And that is the whole art of meditation, becoming conscious of your consciousness itself. Once we become conscious of our consciousness, we observe everything falling into place as we see the whole picture beyond our control. This is an upgrade from our mental identity, which is our small self, to the collective consciousness, which expands our awareness and operating system. We live in a collective consciousness, a subtle energy that unites us all. It is the final dimension that is eternal and contains all the smaller dimensions. Our most influential relationship is our unit consciousness with the collective consciousness of everything. In the small self, what is broken and causes pain can be healed because we change in our higher self and give up what is no longer serving us to create space for the new operating system that perceives with greater consciousness. Our small self and ego is temporary and will not last forever, so fluctuations between good and bad times end as better days come from an expanded awareness, an upgrade in collective consciousness. The Bible also says this, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it abideth alone. But if it dies, it bringeth forth much fruit." We get cozy in our separate human lives until we are imprisoned in that stage, because it is the only dimension we know. We become attached to our smaller self because that is all we know until we go and have a spiritual experience. John 12:24 says, "The grain stays alone unless it dies. Then it merges with the collective consciousness." We don't kill the ego, but expand it as spirituality becomes a human experience that manifests awareness, wisdom, love, and truth in our life. Spirituality changes our brain, ego, and mind as it lights up portions of the brain according to research in social neuroscience. Spirituality activates our brain just like love, food, music, sex, and drugs, as it increases serotonin concentrations. It gives us a higher psychological quality of life that aligns with our soul. Other people don't make us unhappy. That only happens when we are out of harmony. The Bible expresses this in Ephesians 4:31-32. "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. Spiritual wisdom is important for our growth and development as it guides us to do the right thing and improves our life. When we become conscious of the different dimensions, we realize we are not the same person we used to be, so we don't resist change in life but flow with it. At one time, we thought we were human beings with a soul, but in spiritual awakening, we realized we are spiritual beings with a mind and body for a human experience. We clear our mind from its burdens so we can enter awareness in its friendly, unrestrained silence as a spiritual refuge. Jim Carrey said, "What fascinates me is that hardly anyone is wondering what we're actually doing on this planet. Most accepted the work, eat, entertainment, sleep cycle as life and have no desire for a deeper understanding of our purpose in this universe. When we are transforming from one dimension to another, we are not well defined, so we're not clear what our purpose in life is. We are not controlled by our mind, but spiritual awareness has not become incorporated or absorbed into our life yet. We have gut feelings that it is time to change, but our mind rejects and disagrees with our intuition. So the universe makes our life so unpleasant we have no choice but to go with it. This is the course of action, our spiritual path of self-realization, where we nurture our soul so it blossoms in our human form, and we mature away from fear towards bliss and a state of grace that is creative, harmonious, and compassionate. The Upanishads say, "The sage must distinguish between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is the things, acts, and relations, but wisdom is of God alone and beyond all things, acts, and relations. It exists eternally, so to come together and unite with God in wisdom. Our thoughts control the illusion because our mind thinks the thoughts that create our reality. But when our thoughts recede, we enter the spiritual domain. The two dimensions of consciousness and physical and spiritual can be characterized with two lines. The two lines represent two different planes of existence, so one is horizontal and the other is vertical. These two planes intersect at right angles, and that is where we are at, the intersection. So we have the potential for spiritual experiences as our birthright, or the horizontal line, physical experiences. The horizontal line represents our separate self in everyday activities in the duality of time and space in that realm. The vertical plane is beyond time and space, in a unity with a consciousness that is greater than our separate self. These two planes, at right angles to each other, are the most important relationship in our life, because it is our life. In the temporary physical dimension, we can enjoy life when the days are good, but when not so good, we can remember the infinite bliss in the spiritual realm. William Blake says, "If the doors of perception were cleaned, everything would appear as it is, infinite." The windmills of our mind are always spinning, putting out one thought after another constantly, even though some thoughts are repeated to create our reality. The power of thought has brought us to the top of the food chain, but at the same time it keeps us up at night and stresses us out, thinking relentlessly. Our thoughts misrepresent and can't express reality, so to gain freedom from them and their tyranny, we need spirituality. Our thoughts take us to the keyless gate, the doorway to heaven, but can't take us through the portal, because our thoughts build the stairway to heaven. The door and the gate. When we water our dreams with fear and worry, we produce weeds, as Lao Tzu says, that choke the life out of us. And if we water them with positive thoughts, we create a golden cage. Lao Tzu didn't say that. Edgar Cayce says, but does it matter if your handcuffs are made of steel or if they're made of gold? They're both going to limit you and restrict you. Edgar Cayce says, reality is built out of thought, and our every thought begins to create reality. Therefore, we need to go beyond our thoughts to the spirit. Vivekananda says, to every one of us there must come a time when the whole universe will be found to have been a dream, when we shall find that soul is infinitely more real than its surroundings. Thank you.